Today we have Shannon Eaton, the owner of Eaton Livestock, a cattle purchasing company here in Lloydminster. He's here to tell us a little bit about the cattle prices in Lloydminster, as well as throughout of Alberta and Saskatchewan. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Shannon.
No problem.
All right, so Shannon, let's kind of roll the clock back a little bit here. And earlier on this year in like February, right when COVID was kind of once again hitting, cattle prices weren't looking too good. But now that we've kind of gotten into the fall and we've had a really good harvest here in Lloyd and throughout the province of Saskatchewan and Alberta, kind of tell me how cattle prices are looking so far for the fall run, especially with lots of cattle producers looking to sell a lot of their product right now.
Well, if we go back to February, just for instance, a 700-pound steer in February, I believe, was around $1.90 a pound. And then they started to escalate from there, cattle going to grass. As the summer went on, the futures market started to move and our Canadian dollar started to go down. The contract prices for these yearlings got very appealing through the summer, and we were selling 1,000-pound steers as high as $210 a pound on forward contract. But as August came around, the price of these yearlings really got high. It got that the contracts that we had pre-sold, when they were delivering, those cattle were delivering from 10 to 15 cents a pound under what the cash market was. We saw 1,000-pound steers top out at 227 here a couple weeks ago. Now that we're into the calves, we're seeing 600-pound steer calves, mixed colored calves bringing right now from 267 to 272, with some of these higher end cattle that look like they're maybe going to Ontario, bringing 280 a pound on some flat 600-pound steers. And we're seeing these 500-pound steer calves right now on the real top end of them, topping out over $3 a pound. There has been a lot of forward sold calves already that we saw these 500-pound steers, $295 to $3 a pound for some of the top end. And the heifer calves probably trading about 40 cents behind the steers.
With these prices clearly on the rise as time has gone on, is this projection of this rise going to continue into October and later parts of November? Or as more people maybe are going to be selling more and more of their cows to try and get the good prices, are we going to see a bit of a leveling out or a bit of a dip in prices come into the fall and winter?
Well, my opinion on this matter is I really think with some of what's going on as far as the trucking is going to be a major issue this fall, as a lot of our trucking companies are really struggling to get people to haul cattle for them. Another thing that's really going to come into play, I know 3 weeks ago approximately, the barley price in the Lloydminster area was $7 a bushel or even under that. And I've heard prices this week as high as $8 a bushel. So that's really going to play into the price of the calves, because if the barley price is escalated 15%, well, that's all got to come off the cost of gain of these cattle.
The grain prices of barley being so high, despite a pretty solid harvest here in Lloyd, is the possibility of feed for feedlot producers and just producers in general going to be a problem coming this winter? Or should producers be able to consistently be able to feed their calves and maybe not have to sell as many as they had to in winter last year due to a very low amount of feed?
Well, I think where we are right here in this Lloydminster area, this pocket, everybody was out of feed. There was no carryover in the spring. I think we had a good spring, good summer with lots of moisture, and we right here have been able to put up enough feed. But there's a lot of pockets in through central Saskatchewan and southern Saskatchewan that went through a major drought. And I think if you get in that Rosetown to Saskatoon area, there was a lot of people weren't able to hardly get any feed. And I've talked to some guys, their major problem that they're going to have is straw, as there was in that area, the crops were very poor. And therefore, with the wheat and the barley not being very tall, they weren't able to even bale any of the straw behind the combines. So I don't think we're going to have an overabundance of feed, because a lot of this feed and straw is going to relocate out of this area to areas that did go through another drought. And then you get into Manitoba and southeast Saskatchewan where they were flooded so bad. A lot of those areas, I talked to some people yesterday, and right now they're at, they figure there's 75% of the crop still out into that interlake country in Manitoba, and that's a huge cow area as well. So I just see a lot of this feed and straw relocating, and that maybe being an issue for the next year.
Thank you, Shannon, for this insight into the cattle market and feed prices as well in the general area of Lloyd and, of course, in Saskatchewan. And we thank you for all the information. We hope you have a good rest of your fall and winter for the cattle prices.
Always a pleasure, Thomas. Thank you.